Welcome
to the Bring Me to Life podcast.
It's time to wake up
and shine on.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in here to the Bring Me to Life podcast. This is episode 228. Today, we're going to talk about what started Bring Me to Life. What started it all? How did it go from being a video adventure series to a whole network of community and a community of other artists, teachers, podcasters, and more? I am Selomon, joined by Shannon Shine. Hello, Shannon.
Hello, hello. What's up, high vibe humans? Thanks for waking up and shining on with us as always. Like Seal said, we have some amazing things to talk about today because we're starting a new year, and it's always good to really reflect on how far we've come.
And we have come a long way. We've been working together for about 7 years, and before that, it was started like 3 years before that. And there was a long break where something happened and nothing was done to it, and that's when I thought it was going to be gone, as a thing. It came and passed, but, we got talking, we converted it into a podcast, which grew into a whole bunch of other things, and so I'm really excited to talk about this, and I'm grateful that you've been a part of the whole shift.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been 7 years. I feel like every time we say the episode number, I'm always like, man, I feel like we should have way more than 200 episodes. But it's because we've had so many spin-offs, so many different rebrands of sorts. We've had different series. I know you had a couple of different series throughout the 7 years we've been together. Then you had the original. I've done Awakening with the Girls. I had a Shine On with Shannon podcast. So there's a lot more than just the 228 episodes that you see here in this feed, wherever you're listening. Bring Me to Life is such a collaboration of so many different voices, so many different souls, so many different visions. And we're really doing our best right here, right now to sort of recreate our exact mission and, again, reflect on what the original mission was. So I do want to talk to you, Silo, about, the original mission for the vision of Bring Me to Life. And it all kind of started out as a trip. And we talk about the trip kind of vaguely a lot in different podcasts, but what was your original intention with the concept of Bring Me to Life?
Yeah, so all the things you had mentioned before, I think we're going to turn into longer podcasts for the next few episodes. But the original series I was inspired to create because I was kind of going through my own awakening. There was things that were kind of activating within me, and I was searching a lot. I was doing a lot of solar flare research, a lot of solar flare research, and getting into meditation, getting into spirituality a lot. Less into religion and more into my own spirituality. And it was really life-changing, and it was so life-changing, I had a panic attack. And it was the first major panic attack that I had ever really experienced before. And it sent a lot of energy through me. I didn't know how to channel. So I ended up just making a big igloo outside. And once my energy was expended and I felt more calm, I was able to tune in and realize that, I wasn't doing things that I had dreamed about doing. I was living a decent life, but I wasn't experiencing the full depth and spiritual fulfillment that I had been yearning for a very long time, since I could remember. So it kind of sent me on this quest to find that, and that's what led me to meditation, and that's what led me to a Kundalini Awakening. And once I had that Kundalini Awakening, this divine trip came to my mind. It was I would really love to go to the Rocky Mountains. I'm an adventurous spirit. I feel like I haven't been able to express my full divinity. I don't feel like I've been able to really get outside of spirituality, without the restriction of, these rules and regulations that have been instilled. Like, even Jesus was thrown around tables and mad at people because they were worried more about tradition and more about the rabbis and stuff, like not allowing people to be connected to the divine. Like, he was teaching people we're all really special and we all have the ability to connect with the divine and to connect with God and all these things. So, outside of, religious perspective, I know it's hard for some people, and respect to everybody out there, but I wanted to find my own truth. I didn't want to have to learn from anybody else or anything else. I want my own connection. So that's what I went out to the Rocky Mountains to find, was my inner truth and my truth to God. I wanted to experience that. So I went on this trip, and I for some reason wanted to make it like this video series, and Bring Me to Life came about because, obviously the Evanescence song is huge and everybody probably knows it, but it's about waking up and coming to life and realizing stuff before it's too late. And so I kind of adopted that motto and created Project Bring Me to Life at that time.
But it wasn't ever actually focused on the Evanescence song, was it?
It was a focus on the Evanescence song. It was more just about waking up to your life, to your truth. Okay. And I wanted to include people in that. I wanted other people who were looking for their own spiritual connection to just be inspired by the adventure I was having. Mm. And, I'm really into filmmaking, so video series made a lot of sense for me.
Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear that we never intended it to be so connected to the Bring Me to Life Evanescence song. We get that a lot, and I know that when you try to bring us up on Alexa and Amazon and things like that, sometimes the Evanescence thing really comes up. But
that's something that we're working on, and it's something that we will be talking more about later on in the next few episodes.
Yeah, if you add the word podcast, though, you can bring us up in those voice activations.
Yeah, or network.
Yeah, or network. So, but we're working on those different things. Yeah. So in general, the original mission was to help inspire others by, being inspired yourself and going on this mission to somewhere you had never been before.
Right. Somewhere I've always wanted to go. And the mountains just really were calling me. It was like I had no choice. I was being called and pulled so hard to those mountains that I had no choice but to go.
And this was before the infamous tour with the 3DL crew, correct?
Yes, this was the year before. This adventure really set me up for the 3DL adventure.
So 2011?
Yeah, this was 2011 that I did it. And
then 2012 kind of kickstarted you into an even bigger adventure. You kind of started to find your tribe. You hit 3DL. Mm-hmm. You gathered with some of the other light workers, and there was 13 of you in a van traveling around.
At one point there were 13, and that was really hard. Luckily, we didn't have to deal with that many people for that long.
That's a lot of people in a van.
That was the max number we had in our van at one point.
And then at that point, you were collecting content, but nothing really came of that content because the biggest mission for most of those people was to get to Hawaii. Am I correct there?
Yeah, so we were riding a wave. 3DL was a huge thing. There were a few thousand people there. I know some well-known spiritual people were there, and it was just such a beautiful energy, and just we had so much momentum with us. We were let's ride this wave. I didn't have to really be anywhere after that. And I wanted to talk about meditation. I wanted to spread meditation and astral projection. Our friend at that time, Nick, wanted to do Merkaba activations. We all had our own little thing that we wanted to kind of expand, grow, and share with the world. And we're let's take this around the coast. So we went to Florida. We went around down south, around New Mexico and Texas. We got to California, went all the way up to the border of California.
And then eventually, you were the only one out of that whole crew to finally get your way to Hawaii, correct?
Yeah, we all wanted to go to Hawaii. That was a big thing that we were that would be amazing if we could get to Hawaii and like just feel the energy. Like it was like our finish line, like do all this work and you have this like reward almost for doing that, which would have been Hawaii. And you know, all of us together, I imagine would have been really amazing and really fun. But for some reason, like I was the only one who was meant to go during that trip.
And then during your Hawaii experience, it ended up not being quite as blissful as you intended, and you had a lot of really intense spiritual awakenings there. That's where some of your most in-depth angel experiences come from.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah, I was having some really intense angel experiences on that trip, which lasted about 6 months. And then
you were at Hawaii for 6 months?
No, I was in Hawaii for like 16 days.
Okay. I was like, wow.
But like along the whole adventure, it was like 6 months we were all together.
So the first real adventure of Bring Me to Life is on our YouTube.
It's on the YouTube, on the Bring Me to Life YouTube.
You can see some of the original videos of younger Selomon's timeline, telling your mom goodbye. You were packing up your car then. Just completely kind of introductory footage to your Bring Me to Life career. Mm-hmm. And then when you set off on the journey with the 3DL crew, that's kind of where the lost season begins.
Yeah, the lost season is annoying because I had a way better camera. Like the first time I was doing it, I just had this really cheap, like the sound was really bad. The video quality is really bad. It looks like a 90s video, but the second year, I was like, I'm gonna get a nice camera. So I got a nice camera. Was excited. I got like all this footage. I even had a journal. I was like writing in my journal throughout the whole trip, and I wanted to like share it. Like I was excited. Like even there were a lot of beautiful moments. I remember this one scene. There was this seagull hanging out on one of the poles on the beach in San Diego, and behind it was this really beautiful sunset. And I was just zoomed in on this bird, and it was just such a beautiful scene. I was so proud of myself for having that. And just really excited about all that. There was some drama that I was like really excited to like get in and get video of. Cause,
with the crew?
Yeah, with the crew. Like people were like getting really angry and fighting with each other. And I'd just get up in their face like I was recording this. Kind of like a little excited because, you know, drama makes good footage. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of excited about that. And they're like, get the camera out of my face. And I felt like I was like on MTV or something.
Yeah. And that kind of sparked some things that are in the works for future projects. We'll talk about those here soon. So stay tuned. We're just kind of doing a recap of the beginning, and we have some news of things to come that we're going to share here.
New.
So you went on the trip with your crew. You made it to Hawaii. The lost season that we often reference. Season. It sounds like some good B-roll. That seagull sounds like some good B-roll footage.
I had B-roll all day. Like there was so much B-roll. Like it was such a wild and ridiculous adventure. Like the shit I got on video would have blown so many people's minds, and it was just so funny. I remember one time my friend, he had this fur coat on, and he was like the most hardcore out of all of us. So he was always like on something. But the night before, he was like out all day, all night. So the next day, he's just like passed out in the van, and I wake up and check on him, and all of a sudden he just busts out of the van, falls backwards onto his ass with his pants down, like just starts laughing, pulls his pants up, and just passes out on the ground.
Interesting.
And then we all put crystals on him, and he literally didn't move for like 5 hours, and those crystals stayed there for 5 hours.
Sounds like some interesting awakening hippie stories.
Very awakening. Like we were very young, and obviously, like
I mean, that's the kind of stuff YouTube was built on.
Yeah, like it was like I don't know. Yeah, it was pretty fun. Yeah, I was excited about all of it. But once my footage got taken away by the universe, even my journals got taken away by the universe, I was very bummed out about that. And, now it just kind of resides within some pictures that we have on social media and stories within our hearts that we hold on to.
I understand. A lot of my pre-2012 footage of experiences also lives kind of in the ethers. It's funny because they say, you know, that kind of stuff can last forever until we want it. But, all right. So you went on that journey, you continued the journey, and Bring Me to Life was kind of just a thought in the universe. You want the original tour you had on YouTube, but you didn't really do much with it until you wandered to Rootwire and found your way here.
After the lost season, I was honestly so devastated. I couldn't work on it anymore. Like, there was no drive for me to do anything with it. So I kind of like had just kind of let it do whatever and went off on my own thing. And, you know, some of the friends that I had made in 2012 and 2013 were going to this festival in 2014 called Rootwire. And I was back in Michigan at this time. And I remember talking to them about it. And one of them was talking to his friend Selena, who was doing a workshop at the festival. And he introduced me to Selena, and we just started talking. And, you know, Selena is a very, she's very helpful. She's a very helpful teacher and very proactive in getting her students involved with things. So she invited me to come and help out with her workshop that she was doing. And so I said, yeah. And she was like, all right, well, I'm staying at this place. You can come like a few days before. So we drove down in my car with my two buddies and a giant amp.
You and that amp, that's always been a highlight of the story. It was a small car, and the amp was probably 3/4 of the size of the car.
It definitely took up 2 seats plus.
It was an interesting setup because you even were in the back seat of your own car.
Yeah.
Rolled right out.
Yeah. What's funny is that amp didn't even get used once.
You know, musicians like to just have some of their comfort items with them.
Well, that's a giant comfort item. I mean, I understand blankets and even like guitars. Like, yeah, I understand that. Is there really a need to have that big of an amp, though? I don't know. Love you, buddy, if you're listening.
Anyway, so you found your way here.
Yeah, found our way. And so that place that my friend Selena was staying at was actually Shannon's house. Lo and behold.
What's up, Castle Shine? Coming in clutch.
Knights of Michigan coming to the castle.
I love how, even though I live kind of in the middle of nowhere in the Appalachian Mountains, it's still this like cute little hub portal that so many influential people have traveled through to get other places. You know, sometimes just a little out of their way, but I'm like mid-east, it's not really East Coast. Like,
it's
just
not East Coast, but it's like 6 hours from the East Coast.
Yeah, and I'm like, if you're going from Michigan to Florida or anywhere kind of in between, it's a nice little hub, and so many cool people have stopped and stayed with us. We just recently had some visitors even from like the Midwest. So it's a good place to be. And I was really grateful when you appeared because you came at a time I was in the middle of my own awakening experience. And my journey, though I've always kind of been in an awakening frequency since I was about like 4 when I started connecting with angels, it wasn't until about 2012 that I was really looking to build something bigger than myself. Like, I've always been an artist. I've always loved music. I've always been like a community participant. And like in high school, I was like on student council.
Always been involved in things.
Yeah, I was like the president of the art club. And like I always like felt like I was being sort of like spiritually groomed for something. And like to be
a leader.
I even got like invitations to these like leadership camps and things. And I was like, what is it that this like spiritual frequency is like grooming me for it? Like, my family was always like, oh, you'll be in like politics or something. I was like, oh, I hope not.
That's a hard one to be involved in.
But I did feel this like mission to just like be a beacon for something. And I always found myself like taking up for the underdogs. Like, I had cousins and stuff that had special needs, and like football players and like popular people would always kind of like pick on them, and I wanted them to have a voice, and I wanted people to have a voice. And when I started to really sort of wake up and shine on myself, I started realizing that a lot of the things that people think they know as fact aren't really fact in the world. And religion's always been kind of a a shaky topic for me, because though I've been like initiated and like blessed and baptized and all these things, like I always had so many questions. So I started on my own spiritual journey, like 2011, 2012. I was looking more into like the meanings behind angels rather than just like talking to them, and like crystals became a huge part of my life, and I was obsessed with Reiki and energy.
All that began like in 2011?
Around 2011.
So like around when Bring Me to Life was starting.
Right when Bring Me to Life was starting in your reality, I was also like waking up. I started doing my chakra research and was talking about it in different college courses. I was in college around this time, and I had just moved back from Pittsburgh. I lived in Pittsburgh for about 6 months to a year in like 2009 to 2010. And around 2011, I was getting settled back here in the Appalachians, and I was trying to figure out like where I belonged. Like I was in college, but it felt like I wasn't really surrounded by a community that understood what I was going through.
And so you felt kind of lonely?
And I felt so alone, dude. Like there wasn't anyone here talking about crystals then, and like the angels and
chakras.
The witchy movement is now the new age, and like Doreen Virtue was kind of big, but she was also taboo. And like there was like the psychic people on TV that
you ever hear of David Icke? Did you?
I can't really remember. But like psychic people were starting to become like more talked about, but like everyone was questioning whether they were real or actors. But I felt like I was having like psychic experiences and like premonitions of sort, and I was having so much deja vu and like weird synchronicities of like people talking about something and then like it happening, and like finding books that were just like in perfect alignment with what I was like wanting to learn more about. And
did you hear the word synchronicity at that time?
I don't even know if that word was as big then. The Secret was pretty powerful. The book, The Secret. When I was in college, we had a gym class that basically we just had to like clock into the gym, and we could do whatever we wanted in the gym. So I would like sit on the bike or like walk on the treadmill, and I was reading books like The Secret and The Magic and like angel numbers and activation and stuff like that.
Where did you find those books then? Were they part of their library? Did you find them online?
My aunt had a few of them.
So your aunt was like
grooming me, I felt like, to be this like spiritual person. But it was funny.
But only at 2011, or
like on and off through my whole life she was kind of into new agey things. But
did she get like more involved in 2011 or
something like that?
Maybe your mind just opened to it.
My grandfather had just passed away, and my uncle had passed away, so like her dad and her brother, and my grandma was like asking questions about if God was real, and they were trying to figure out if they were really like religious and stuff again. And it was a weird time for, I think, humanity more so than even my family. But she was like
2011, 2012 for sure.
So many people I've talked to have been like 2012, like I started to wake up. And like I know a lot more people woke up even in the last like year or so with the crazy chaos that is life now. But something about that 2012, I mean, a lot of people talked about like the world was supposed to end in 2012, but I think it was just like
a huge thing.
I think it was just consciousness as we knew it.
The Mayans said it was going to be like a new world, like a birthing of a new world.
And I think that's why we use our phrase wake up and shine on, because I really feel like I woke up as a new person in 2012. And that's kind of when I think I had one of my more walk-in type experiences. The person I was dating at the time was super sciencey, and they were not into like spirituality at all. And I just felt so confused because I like wanted to ask so many questions, but was also like scared to think I was crazy. And it goes back to like what you said about just feeling alone. But I also knew that there were other I like to call them superheroes out there.
You had that feeling that other people were out there.
Yeah.
And that's why I created Bring Me to Life, because I felt it too, and I wanted us all to connect.
So
what happened from like 2012 to 2013 and like into getting involved with Root Wire yourself?
Well, in 2012, I believe it was, I went to my first festival. And it was right around is either 2012 or 2013. I don't like math and numbers, but it was the weekend before my 21st
You love
birthday.
numerology, though.
I love numerology. I hate doing numbers. Whatever year I was about to turn 21 was the year everything really changed. I went to my first festival. I had been a little straight edge kid. I didn't really drink a whole lot after I went through a little phase younger. I started to navigate the idea of whether or not I wanted to try like psychedelics and those kind of experiences, but I was also like already terrified that I was crazy, and I was, told that if I dappered with any such extracurricular substances that it would make me more crazy. But then I was also having this like urge to just explore life for what it was. And I went to these festivals and I met some of the weirdest people, but I also met some of the most intelligent people and like open-minded, spiritual, grounded, magical people I had ever met.
Was it the first place that you had connected with like those kinds of people?
Some of them, yes, because I was coming from a small town, and again, I was only like 20, so like I was still young, and a lot of people weren't taking me seriously, even though I had these big dreams, these big goals, and I could speak as if I was older than I was, and that's always kind of been an affinity I've had. But it was at these festivals I began to meet elders that really wanted to take the time to connect with me about life and spirit and what energy meant. And like there were workshops happening where people were talking about the power of like feminine magic and sacred geometry and art. And I was so into art. At my very first festival, I actually vended it, and I had never had the experience to like fully set up a full easy up of all my art and just kind of be free. Mm-hmm. And it was so magical. I sold hundreds of dollars worth of art, and usually I don't talk about it, but somebody handed me a peanut butter sandwich that may or may not have had some fungus in it.
Had some fungi.
And I honestly had a freaking blast. Nothing bad happened. I talked to so many beautiful people. I made it a mission to introduce myself to as many people that night as I could. Mm-hmm. And I did. And I woke up the next day with like $500 extra in my pocket, a whole bunch of people wearing and like sharing my art. And I had listened to some good music, and I had like really danced for one of the first times in a long time.
Is that where Shine Time came from?
I think it did, because I was just running around and the lights were beautiful, and I was just like, Shine Time. And it was like, before I was Shannon Shine, I was just Shantastic. And everyone kept telling me that I was like sunshine to them. Mm-hmm. And it was like, sunshine, that sounds like Shannon Shine. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of like morphed into the being that I am today. And it was just
being like Shine Time. And after every episode of the podcast, if you guys listen to the end here, it'll be like a little thanks for shining on with us.
That's crazy that was birthed in 2012. It was just like such a powerful moment. It actually was because I was putting things like glow paint on my paintings. Yeah. And I had a little UV laser, and I would like light it up when people were walking around, and they'd be like, wow, it's like shining. Yeah, and I'd be like, Shine Time. And it was just this thing.
So, I mean, just the whole brand of your Shine has been there with you from like when you were opening up to your spirituality, really. Yeah,
it was powerful. And I was also a part of this. So I started to feel alone, like I said, and then I started to look for communities, and I bounced around from different communities. And for a while, I was a part of this crew that was called the Karma King Mafia. They were this group of people that would go to different festivals, and they would look for people that were doing good deeds to like thank them and bless them with good karma. So I've always loved the idea of karma, and like the energy you put out comes back to you. And they called me the Karma Queen, and I just felt so loved and so seen for the royalty that I was like stepping into, because I felt like I was like morphing into this better, more like divine version of myself even then. And I rocked that community for a while until you appeared, and that community kind of morphed into its own thing. It's still rolling out there. I still hang out with them in the ether worlds.
Mm-hmm.
But it morphed.
Yeah, it did morph. Well, so you met Karma King Mafia before I came to you.
I did.
Kind of like walk us through, or what happened between then and like calling in your tribe. Like you talk about doing a ritual and stuff like that before the event happened.
Before Rootwire 2014. So all of what I just talked about was up till like 2013. 2014 became a roller coaster for me. Right after Christmas of 2013, we found out that my grandmother was sick. And my grandmother is and was like the rock for my foundation. And when I found out she was sick, that's when my spiritual journey took a huge plunge into the direction of what the hell is God? And why can it be so cruel and so powerful but so beautiful all at the same time? And is there actually anything out there listening to us? I was angry, but I was awake, I was listening, and I was determined to figure out if the law of attraction was real and how to like use energy to direct my life in a better way. So I started doing a lot of research, even more so into chakras. I started teaching classes about chakras even at college, and the teachers were like intrigued by what I was learning. And I decided to just set the intention that if there was a teacher out there that wanted to guide me, that they would appear. And I also was trying to find out how to get initiated in the practice of Reiki. And I wanted to call in friends and support that understood me, because I was still dating this dude who was completely out of the loop, was arguing with everything spiritual I was unlocking within myself. And it was super, super toxic. And I had set this intention that by the time I graduated college in the middle of 2014, that I would be set on a path that would help me with my destiny, and that I would have friends that were basically going to be there for that journey. So within like a week of setting that major intention for myself, this lady appeared. What up, Selena? And she basically told me that she had received a message from my mom. Keep in mind, my mom had been passed away for over 20 years at this point, or like nearly 20 years at this point.
Same Selena that
you mentioned like 15 minutes ago. And she was basically helping me understand a lot of the different gifts I was downloading. She was super intuitive, psychic, and like a teacher. And I just really connected with her. I told her what my grandmother was going through, and she said that she could like come and help me understand Reiki in a different way. And I also like planned on getting Reiki certified, but then the certification got canceled on my mom's birthday. So I had like this meltdown, this is right before Selena came. I had the meltdown on my mom's birthday. I met another psychic lady named Bree. What up, Bree? And then Selena appeared. So like Selena and Bree were these two very powerful spiritual teachers that came into my life, and they told me that there was going to be like a project that I could really set my intention on, and that I just needed to like feel into what role I wanted to play in the world. And in that moment, I was like, well, I want to inspire people to be the best version of them they can be, but to also like be willing to ask questions and enjoy their journey while not feeling alone, because I had felt so alone for so long. So they both told me to like do a ceremony to call in those people. And I did. I went down to the water. I talk about this in so many episodes. I set up all these crystals. I prayed. I made a manifestation list, and I called in humans that would support me and basically be by my side. Wasn't even really about like a romantic thing, even though I was going through like a breakup. And mainly I wanted friends and community. Within 3 weeks, I was about to graduate, and I wanted the person that was in my house to find a safe space to move, and they did. The day I graduated, that person moved out, and I got a call from Selena that said that she was coming for this event and that she needed to let some people stay with us and that we would all travel up together. And cue the arrival of CeeLo and the Knights of Michigan. And during Rootwire, we had such a wild experience. Like I had mentioned how the festivals changed my life, but Rootwire was different. Like there were more workshops, there was more intention. It wasn't all just about a big party, though it was a big party. But there was like magical portals being open. And I may sound crazy, but like when so many people have the intention of waking up and shining on, big things happen.
Yeah, so I know you kind of mentioned it earlier how you're like you were calling in like people who understood, friends that were going to be there for you and help you along the journey. But you didn't go into specifics about the ritual. Like what did you do for the ritual that you were trying? Like what elements did you use? What materials did you use? What was like the order of things that you did?
I feel like I briefly kind of covered it. I went down to the water. There's like a stream sort of near the sacred spot that I go to. There was a fire pit that I set up some crystals in, and then I set the intention. I'm trying to remember if it was this ceremony specifically. I think I even like planted a seed or like a plant there that I kept in my altar room for a while. And I wrote down the feelings I wanted to call in, like security, stability, understanding, freedom, growth, love, friendship, like big basic words like that. And I like wrote it all down on a piece of paper. And then I wrote down all the things I was ready to release, which was like codependency and toxicity and fear and like victimhood and abuse, because I was like dealing with a lot of that from the relationship I was in. So I like burnt that list and released all the things that I wanted to release, and I planted the things that I had wanted like with the seed. And after I burnt the other pieces of paper, I threw them into the water that was flowing really fast, and part of me is like, should I have put them in the water? But it felt like that was exactly what I needed, and I guess the paper like disintegrated because I was like, man, did I hurt the nature? But you know, like that's intuitively what wanted to happen. And I watched it float away in the water, and then I just kind of like laid there for a while and visualized it happening. I think I cried a little bit, and it was like kind of sprinkling rain. This is like early May, I think, May, June time. And I sent my grandma a lot of love and my family a lot of love because they were struggling. I sent the person I was like breaking up with love and like hope that they would find something stable, so I just didn't feel like they needed to depend on me anymore. And I basically broke down. And my dad had this saying that I use a lot, that is sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to make it to the top. And I really like had felt that in a way that was a rock bottom for me. Like I was so mad and frustrated and like ready to shift that I finally just like set that intention and things shifted. And I remember sitting up and like looking at the nature around me and being grateful and like feeling this sense of deja vu. And I sometimes talk about this in a different storyline where like I went on this adventure once you and the Knights got here. And I went on this adventure with our friend Sky, and like we wandered all over the mountain and we kind of got lost. And then I followed a crystal home, and it brought me out at the exact spot of where I did that ceremony, which wasn't where we went into the woods. It was like, I don't know, like 400 or 500 feet the opposite way that we came in.
So the crystal you're talking about, was that like, what do you call it?
It was a hematite crystal that you had given me.
Yeah. And
that
so
you had followed.
Yeah, so let me give a little bit of like background.
We're all over the place in this episode.
This crystal that led Shannon out of the woods, you know, after we got back from Rootwire, I had actually used during Rootwire, and for some reason I was like, I don't know where I want to go, but I'm just going to use this crystal. I'm going to throw it up, and whatever way it lands, whichever direction it's pointing, I'm going to walk that way. So I did that like multiple times and ended up like right at where you were. And when we got there, there was a moth or butterfly or whatever that just flew up right into your heart. And so like that was very significant. And I think at that point I gave you that hematite.
I don't think you gave it to me till after the festival.
Oh yeah, maybe when you were walking, I was like, I can't go with you, but here's this like crystal to help you like find your way.
Yeah, you gave me it when I went up to the woods with Sky, and that same crystal, it brought me back to that point. So that's when I'd always kind of started thinking that life was a video game, but I remember right then I was really beginning to think that life was a video game.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wow, he followed this crystal and found me, and now I just followed this same crystal. Like it was a point, so I would like kind of like hold it in the palm of my hand and just bounce it and like see which direction like it turned. Instead of like flipping a coin, we were kind of like flipping the crystal, and it felt like a spiritual compass. And it brought me out right across the water from where I had set the intention and had the original ceremony. And I felt like the moment in Harry Potter where he sees the Patronus and he thinks it's his dad, but he realizes it's him. And he's like, wow, I saved myself. Like, that's kind of how I felt. Like, I remember like feeling as if I could see myself like weeks before setting the intention. And there I was with this new friend and like this set of friends at my home, and like just this whole deep ingrained feeling that something big was about to happen. And like, I just got back from Rootwire. I felt like I had met so many beautiful people in that I just didn't have to be alone anymore. And I came back from that walk, and you were hanging out at my house, and Ashton was hanging out at the house, and Sky was with me, and we kind of just like started talking about all these projects, and they were working on their music projects because they were both producers. Shout out to Spaceship Earth, still rocking the music scene. And we just started like brainstorming all these like crazy sort of out there ideas, but also super attainable things. And I remember being like, all right, guys, like I love making like logos and graphics and websites. I've been making websites since I was like 12. Like, let's build you all websites. And everybody was kind of like really focused on all these different things, but you and I sort of clicked, and we were trying to figure out the proper name. We went through several different names, and you were like, well, I once had this project called Bring Me to Life. And I was like, that's it. That sounds so magical. Like, Project Bring Me to Life. Like, why don't we bring that to life? And we kind of like were joking about it. And here we are 7 years later.
Yeah, 7 years later. So that's how like it kind of began after that. And we'd started with our own podcast, the Bring Me to Life podcast. And after that, we like opened it up.
We went through like a portal. We like transformed my bedroom into this big office that we could all sit in, and put like my bedroom in this other little small room. And
yeah, I think we started on Google Hangouts, like interviewing people.
Google Hangouts. We were still putting videos on YouTube. We had this like crazy looking desk set up that made me feel like I was in Star Trek, because Sela had his little command station and I had mine, and we had like a spot for Ashton to have his, and like it was pretty wild. It was pretty like we went all in real quick.
Yeah, it was. I was very excited because I didn't have to work on that alone anymore. Like, I was excited because it was coming back to life, and it was nice to see because I had put all that time and energy into it and didn't have like the kind of closure that I wanted. So to bring it back and to utilize that to help others, like the original idea that I had for it was very exciting. So, I'm very grateful for that day, being able to connect with you, and then just like you being so aligned with what we wanted to do with it. It was really amazing. So, it's quite a journey from it going from a trip and adventure series into like a whole network of other people who are doing very similar things, and like sharing their voices, sharing their like connection to spirit. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I remember originally we had these little profiles for different people.
Yeah.
Like, we really wanted to be a platform to promote musicians and artists, and everyone had their own little profile. And I was hoping that like one day we would be able to have people edit their own and it be its own like social media of sorts. And there's still time for that, but we sort of shifted focus now, and we have like profiles for each podcaster. But I think it's really funny because in the early days of Bring Me to Life, It was actually you, and your co-host for the original podcast was actually our friend Nick Malnicki.
Yeah.
And I was totally behind the scenes. I didn't want to be on camera. I didn't want to be
You didn't want to
heard.
hear your voice.
I didn't want to. I couldn't stand hearing my own voice.
Which is funny because I don't think you really pay attention anymore.
No, I don't. And it's funny because I literally make a living off of my voice.
Yeah.
Like talking and sharing, and now I'm working on public speaking, and like most of my following aside from my artwork is because of my voice.
Interesting, because like you were very outgoing, like much more outgoing than me, but I was much more willing to like be in front of a camera at that point.
I think I was so afraid of just the judgment of others because I had been judged for so long about the things I was into and like feeling weird, and like I was doing all this like sort of occult like research behind the scenes, and I wasn't quite ready to come out of the spiritual closet yet because I've been raised in such a small town. But then like seeing you share your voice and seeing people get excited about it, I just remember like listening behind the scenes and being like, I want to talk about that. I have something to say. I bet you want
to talk about everything.
Oh, dude, when don't I want to talk
like,
about everything?
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, these guys are having such good conversations. And then I was like, I really don't want to be on camera. And I think I was just really focused on like, I wanted us to look so professional.
Yeah, you did. Yep. You have these like high expectations from like the very beginning, which, is fine. But to anybody out there, if you're just starting, like, don't feel like you need to have everything perfect right away, because you need space to grow, and you need to like build up that confidence and to build up that quality.
But also don't be afraid to like invest in yourself either, and to like take yourself seriously, because I think there was also this like struggle with imposter syndrome, like who am I to talk about these things? And I hadn't yet found the quote by Marianne Williamson that like changed my life. It's like, who are you not to be beautiful, perfect, and like all these things? And it's like, we are all children of the universe, and we all do have a voice. And that's something I love about the Bring Me to Life platform, is we're here to help inspire others to find their voice, but in a way that they have community that is also like open-minded or like also on the journey. And we're here to build a learning platform for others too, and to share their voice if they've already like explored certain things, because there are other people that are still waking up and trying to like learn about crystals and angels and numbers and all kinds of things spiritual. And with us being on this journey for like basically a decade now, and on top of our personal experiences before we would be considered woken up, like we've done so much research that it's powerful to have a platform to share these ideas on, so that the next generation, whether they're younger or older than us, have the ability to feel a connection and feel less alone. Because the more we continue to shine our light, the more we're giving permission to others to, share their voice, share their opinions, and to make their own podcasts and to write articles about things. So it's easier to find information about these sort of things. And that's really what I think the bigger transition has been about too, is not only have we had the opportunity to share what it is we've learned, we've built this space, this beautiful space that is bringmetolife.com, where so many other podcasters get to share their voice now. And people who are maybe afraid to vocalize can also write articles. And if you're not ready to write articles, you can comment in the chat. And if bringmetolife.com doesn't have a space for you and you're like social media oriented, we have a group on Facebook where you can share ideas and to share articles you read other places, the Bring Me to Life community. So like we've created this network of opportunity for others to not feel alone on their spiritual journey. And that has been so powerful, especially for me for the last 7 years, to have a space for that kind of growth and opportunity.
And now we want to really open it up and invite others. Like you said, if you have an article that you think would kind of align with a lot of the topics we talk about, like feel free to reach out to us and, submit on the form on our website, bringmetolife.com. It says contact us. You can always reach out to us and let us know you're interested in writing an article. We help people with podcasts, so if that's something you're interested in as well, like let us know. The Facebook group is called the Bring Me to Life Community. We have a Discord if anybody would be interested in that, because we're trying to get this enrolling even more and get more people involved. Like that's our main mission, I think, for 2022 is to open this up, to get more people involved and to activate some of these like beautiful things we want to do.
Yeah, we want people to be a part of this community. Like, it's not just our voices anymore. Like I said, we have so many beautiful podcast hosts, and we're looking for more. We have different packages and opportunities available to help you get your voice out there. If you've always dreamed of sharing, your perspectives or building a community of your own, like that's something we can do with Discord, is have like other communities inside of the Discord so that you can, build your platform. And the Bring Me to Life community group on Facebook, we've always wanted more people to share awakened content in there. Like if you're doing an awakened event or a workshop or something like that, like it doesn't just need to be promotional. Like we don't want it to just be this place people drop their promotion and dip. Like we want you to share why that inspires you. Why are you hosting this thing? Why should we go to this transformational festival? Like, what is it that inspired you? Or if you are seeing the number like 444 everywhere, like, and you look it up and you find this inspirational meaning, like share that article and see if anyone else is having that synchronistic experience and like create a new friend. Like the Bring Me to Life platform and all of its groups, Discords, social pages, like it takes a community of people to really hold space for this journey. And if you don't want to feel alone, the best part of doing that, or the best way to change that, is to show up yourself and create a discussion. And that's what we've tried to do, is to create the platform for the discussion. And it's up to you to continue to take us to the next phase of that community. Drop a comment. Don't just be an anonymous listener. Like the future of Bring Me to Life is not just us talking to you through this device, but to hear what you have to say as well, and to see the world become what it is you wish to bring to life. So we're building some things. I think we're going to probably talk about that in another episode, because we went hard on like the intro, but we're
working on an academy, the Bring to Life Academy.
We're going to talk about that soon. And then this summer, please, universe, let us travel this summer, because this summer I want to bring Me to Life to all of you, especially those of you in the United States. Like CeeLo started this vision out as an adventure, and I have always had a dream to go on an adventure cross country, and I've never fully been able to, and I think now it's my turn, and I want to take my crew with me, and I want to make that mission that you originally saw as the last episode or the last season come to life.
Season 2,
we're going to bring it to life. And I want to visit people that are doing big things. I want to create bucket lists. We've already started a lot of this process, guys, so it's happening. We're bringing it to life. We've been creating bucket lists so that we can bring our dreams to life and inspire you to do the same. We're going to create content with it. We've got a few buddies that are going to join us on this adventure, so it's not just CeeLo and I. And we're going to have special guest stars. So if you would like to be a guest and you have either a place for us to stay or a mission for us to go on, hit us up. Talk to us. The summer of 2022 is coming to you. I'm so excited about it. I can like close my eyes and see all the little blooper reels and the inspiring discussions, and probably some drama along the way, because we're going to be on the road.
I'm going to get in everybody's faces, and then they're going to be like, get the camera out of here.
Yeah, prepare for me to say that at least a dozen times. We're going to bring some furry friends and companions.
What? Furry friends? Okay. Oh, yeah.
We got some furry friends that are going to be coming on the trip with us, so you'll get to see what it's like to travel with
fur
animals.
Babies.
Yeah, and we've got a mission, and we're ready to activate it. We got, sidelined with the universe for a while, but I think it was just preparing us so that we could properly bring the vision to the forefront. And that means if you want to support that, you want to see that adventure, make sure you follow us on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. Make sure you interact with us on Facebook if you're on Facebook. If not, then tell us and get us on Discord. And here very soon, I'm going to have us a TikTok, because who doesn't want to see us be ridiculous on TikTok? So wherever you can find us, wherever you are listening, follow us. Be a part of our community. and help invite others, because again, we can't do this alone.
Very well said. And any ratings, any reviews on any podcast platforms really greatly helps us as well. So if there's anybody out there listening that can do that, thank you so much. We very much appreciate it. But we are looking forward to continuing to build momentum with the events. We have Shine Online happening, and we're going to get into that like in the next few episodes. So we have a lot of really amazing things to talk about. So please continue to stay tuned to the upcoming episodes of the Bring Me to Life podcast. We really appreciate all of you. Thank you for listening. And do you have anything else?
2/22/22. Mark your calendars to be here with us. I think that's all I got.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in here to the Bring Me to Life podcast, and stay awake.
Shine on always.
For many of us, spirituality is just the quest to find essence or true meaning and to really just connect with a higher consciousness.
Connecting with your spirituality is very important in this life. By becoming mindful of all of it, you can realize where you are and if that is leading you to where you want to go.
Listen to the little simple things, because it's those little simple things that are going to shift you vibrationally in such a way that will prepare you to become very intuitively minded and ready to step forward on the next part of your path.
I hope you can feel the love that's inside you, it's inside me, that connects us.
Thanks for shining on with us.